Good morning, everybody. Thanks for being here to check up on this update for the First Alert Safety Desk and getting into some of those stories that we covered this week. Several really important ones that you might want to tune into, especially that radon story that we did this morning. If you missed it, I'll recap a little bit of that. Staying safe at crowded events, of course, with what has recently happened in our country, a couple of really awful events happening. We will let you know what Green Bay officials are doing to work together to make sure that, public safety and security is top of mind. Not just for the game on Sunday, but for the big NFL draft happening here in Green Bay. So those are big topics of conversation, obviously, but then also we had a big story from the Wisconsin Better Business Bureau talking about top resolutions for a fraud-free new year. We'll get into what scammers have been up to lately and what they are working on as we get into the new year and ways to avoid scams from happening to you. They are constantly changing their tactics and their ways. So we've got some tips for you, as you could see, but otherwise, we'll just go ahead and start with the story talking about staying safe in those crowds. I'm going to move the camera just a little bit. There we go. I do have a couple tidbits that I'll put up on your screen here if you want to read along. Otherwise, as always, if you go to the First Alert Safety Desk tab on WBAY.com, you could read the stories for yourself. This is the first one. We'll start with staying safe at crowded events. So Kristen Allen actually was filling in for me at the safety desk yesterday, did this great story about how experts are weighing in on how you can keep your family safe at crowded events after a vehicular attack on pedestrians in New Orleans. Of course, just awful. Unfortunately, it's the times we live in, but experts say it's really something that we need to keep mindful of and be attentive to. So if you're at a large event, like a parade, something like that, a concert, you really want to take some steps to make sure that everybody stays safe and you know what to do. You have a game plan. This first one, really important, is to discuss where to meet if your group gets separated. We often talk about that in other scenarios too, but definitely when you're at crowded events. And then looking up the nearest hospital ahead of time. That's especially if you're not from that area you're going to be at. And then also, if you see anything suspicious, say something to law enforcement. They will look into it. They won't be dismissing that because they take it seriously and they don't want anything bad to happen to other people. So keeping that in mind, and those tips are really important as you're at big scale events. Again, like what happened in New Orleans is really awful. Things like parades, sporting events, concerts, things like that. Just keeping that in mind always before you head out to an event like that. Again, that's top of mind these days because of what happened. Also want to talk about the Wisconsin Better Business Bureau story that was earlier in the week. These resolutions, I think this was just the first day of the new year. So we did these resolutions for a fraud-free 2025. I thought were really great from Wisconsin Better Business Bureau. They're working so hard every day of the year to make sure that we are staying safe from scammers and not losing money, most especially when it comes to digital stuff. So right here are some of the resolutions on your screen. Some of them I couldn't fit on your screen, but we'll start with these. The first one is just being cautious with email, making sure that you're wary of unsolicited emails that you get, and we get them all of the time, whether it's your personal email or your work email, things like that, and making sure that scammers can make emails look like they're from a legitimate business, as we often say, or reputable organization, even the BBB actually. So never click on links or open attachments in those unsolicited emails, making sure that you're looking at the website where it came from or the email where it came from, things like that. Also, I resolved never to send money to strangers. We talked about this too, where if you haven't met a person in person, make sure you're not sending that person money. You want to make sure that you're also not falling for some tactics that scammers have where they want to pressure you into things and they want to send you into a panic. So before you make a move, making sure that you think the situation through and don't fall for it. Just take that moment that you need, because there's no rush if you need to pay someone for something. Also, I resolved to do research before making online payments and purchases. Research that retailer before you enter any payment information. And then also using your best judgment when sharing personal information is a big one. Sharing sensitive personal information, that really opens the door to identity theft. So never share financial information, your birth date, your address, social security, insurance number, things like that, to any unsolicited caller. If you think that there's a number that is calling, and it's calling maybe because this happens all the time, these scammers are starting to impersonate even law enforcement. You can always call that law enforcement agency back from the number that you know is real and make sure that you check to see whether or not that was actually them calling you. Things like having two-factor authentication is really important, and being social media smart, always making sure that you use those privacy settings on social media, because scammers are always looking out for that and trying to find personal information about you so they can use that against you. And then checking your financial statements regularly and educating yourself about the latest scams. We talk about them often at the First Alert Safety Desk, but also our Tammy Elliott, she does a great job at making sure that you know what's going on in her Consumer First Alert, so make sure you're always following up to date on what's going on there. So those were the couple of the bigger ones. I also wanted to show you one that we talked about this morning, actually, right here. Outagamie Public Health offering free radon test kits in January. So this story is one we do every year. It's actually Action Month for radon here in Wisconsin. So the Wisconsin Department of Health Services and others really wanting you to make sure that you're testing your home for this. It's a radioactive gas. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and over time it can cause cancer for you and your family, and you don't want that. So right here in the article we linked the interactive map of radon test results. So that's where you could check to see in your neighborhood to see if those areas or the area you live in has high levels of radon. It's really cool. You can check to see right on your street, your home. So if you want to click that. Radon also test kits are available right here, 320 South Walnut in Appleton, because of Radon Action Month, and that's in Outagamie, that's in Appleton, Walnut Street. You could also contact a Radon Information Center to get a test kit, or maybe even ask a professional, but this seeps through cracks in your home, as you could see in this drawing that we were showing on Action 2 News this morning. And it gets into it, and again, you can't see it and you can't smell it. So I think it's super important, especially if you haven't bought a home yet, to test for that. But if you've been in your home for a while, you've got to test too. It's really easy to do it, and again, you've got those free test kits that you can get. So make sure you do that. But those are the big stories that I thought were really important that we wanted to get at. I also have our First Alert meteorologist, Keith Gibson, standing by. I see you getting ready, Keith, so I'm going to pull up your image there, and I'll let you take care of your microphone. Perfect.
All right.
So we also want to talk about First Alert weather and what's going on with that. I'll basically leave you with everybody here to talk about what we've got going on with those cold temperatures.
Yeah, we want to make sure folks are prepared and stay safe this weekend with this chilly weather that is here, and it's going to get a little bit colder as we go through time as well. So let's get into your forecast. We've got some cloud cover out there right now. We should see a little bit more in the way of developing sunshine later on today. Let's talk about your weekend real quick. Your Saturday, 18, single digits tomorrow night around 5. Sunday, 21, a mix of sun and clouds. Wind chills will be nasty tonight, -10 to -20, and -5 to -15 Sunday morning. Wind chills right now pretty ugly too, but not quite as extreme as where they are headed. Single digits above and below 0 right now. So if you're just waking up on this Friday, it's chilly. We've had a little bit of light snow, more or less nuisance type snow. We will have a persistent wind from the west and northwest today, tonight, into tomorrow and your weekend that will keep a steady flow of Canadian air coming our way. So it's just going to be quite brisk today. Again, tonight, tomorrow morning, wind chill -10 to -20, frostbite 30 minutes or less here. And just protect your skin here if you will be out and about for an extended duration. Sunday morning, not quite as extreme, the wind chill -5 to -15. But First Alert Pinpoint Predictor picking up on the fact that it will be chilly tomorrow morning as far as the wind chill. We're going to recover a little bit tomorrow, much like today. We'll be in the single digits above and below 0 during the day, and getting back into your Sunday morning for early tailgating. If you're heading to Lambeau super early, it's going to be chilly. But by game time and during the game, our wind chills will be warming into the teens above 0 there. So that is your weekend. Now, if you're looking for serious snow anytime soon, keep on looking. It's cold. It's dry, and we don't expect a lot of significant heavy snow, plowable snow, anytime soon in our area. Now, we've had a little bit of light snow over the last day or two. We had a little bit of a coating this morning in some spots. First Alert Viper Max is picking up on some lingering flakes out there. But through the weekend, more snow will add up in the UP. Over in lower Michigan, for us here in northeastern Wisconsin, we just don't expect a lot. Now, there will be a big system that will be churning to our south this weekend, actually. It is way out in the Pacific. This is what you've probably been hearing a lot of hype about. It's just moving into the West Coast. This will take a southern route down towards Kansas City. St. Louis is going to stay south of Chicago for the most part. So if you are traveling south Sunday into Monday, that is going to be a big deal. You can see this with Predictor here, the big picture. A big snowstorm, ice storm, severe weather down in the deep south. We are just going to be on the cold and dry side of it here. And that's just the nature of the beast this time of year. Now, a week from today, just looking ahead, there may be a somewhat stronger Clipper type system that could put down a little bit more widespread, lighter type snow across the region. This is about a week away, and that's really about our next best chance for any widespread accumulation. Not to say we won't have a little bit between now and then, but that's something we'll be watching out for over the next week. But south of Chicago this weekend, really Sunday into Monday, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Louisville, snow, ice, big time problems down that direction. Your forecast for our area today: the clouds should thin out just a little bit. We're thinking teens to low 20s, wind chills single digits above and below zero, winds at 10 to 25 miles per hour all day long. So not too many changes, but we do suspect those cloudy skies we have now will thin out, and we should see a little bit more sunshine as the day goes on. Tonight, mostly clear. It's going to be cold. Actual air temperature down into the single digits, wind chills minus 10 to minus 20. And for your Saturday, it should be a pretty nice day overall, brisk, a lot of sunshine, but chilly with highs in the mid to upper teens to around 20 if we're lucky here. So our Super 7-day, let me pop this up real quick. We're going to bring this up full for you, and we'll pop out a couple of days. If you are doing any traveling today, developing sunshine, teens and low 20s, a little bit more persistent lake effect up there in the UP and over into lower Michigan. And if you're traveling tomorrow on Saturday, tons of sunshine, really region-wide. It's just going to be cold. Out towards Duluth, only 7. We'll be in the teens. The average high will drop to 26 tomorrow, so we're going to be almost 10 degrees colder than average tomorrow. Single digits again Saturday night and the Sunday. For the Packers and Bears, it looks like it will be a chilly Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds. Temperatures early in the teens, wind chills likely in the single digits, if not below, super early. Game time around 20 degrees, wind chills in the low teens there. So nothing we haven't had for this time of year. It's not going to be an ice bowl or anything like that. It will be cold, but it's not going to be below zero as far as the actual air temperature. Now, Monday, we've got a 10% chance for a little bit of light snow in the region. That would assume there could be a little bit of lake effect snow that could brush up against the lakeshore, depending on if our winds can become more northeasterly versus northerly. That's iffy at this point, but that would be driven by the big snowstorm that will be to our south. The area of low pressure could give us more of a northeast wind Monday and give us a little bit of lake effect. But we'll see. 23 Tuesday, 19 next Wednesday, and 21 next Thursday, with a slightly better chance for some of that snow, maybe light snow by the end of next week. So there's a look at your Super 70 forecast. It's warm, or it's cold outside. Hopefully it's warm where you're at, and I really don't see a big warm-up, at least for the next week or two around here. It looks like it's going to be a fairly cold month of January. At least that's where we are headed for the next 1 to 2 weeks around here. So have a great weekend, and we'll see you on TV for the full forecast and all of the latest news headlines at 9 o'clock. Have a great morning.